You know it's bad when the positive streamers are making negative reviewed videos, okay? That's when things are getting dark in Destiny. There's a lot of content creators that when things go awry, they leave. They play other games, but nowadays we're seeing a whole new side of things, right? We got Rick Kakis making negative videos now. Even Fallout Plays is got this video titled Destiny 2 Ash and Iron is a mess. And with a title like that, I got to see what it's all about. Of course, it's #1 trending in Destiny 2's topic, so let's see what we're cooking up here.
All right. Against my better judgment, why don't we talk about the release of D2 Ash and Iron, which just dropped last week, and unfortunately, it's been a bit of a mess, which is extra unfortunate, by the
A mess is an understatement, that's for sure.
way, because literally minutes before Ash and Iron launched, we got a fairly extensive look at Renegades, which I think actually looks awesome. But yeah, sadly, all of that hype immediately evaporated when folks finally walked into Ash and Iron, which was basically the Donald Glover pizza gif from Community. Now, even though I'm going to be critical about some things in Ash and Iron, I'm hoping that it's going to be with some kind of purpose behind it. That is to say, if anyone from Bungie winds up watching this video for whatever reason, it isn't just me saying, her new update bad, but rather me saying, hey, this sucks, but here's why. That way, maybe it might lead to an actual discussion, which hopefully leads to the game actually improving.
Some constructive feedback in this rage bait meta? This is ridiculous. This is not...
Especially during a time window where there are so many other hyped up games out there to compete with, like, good lord. All right, topic number 1, the bugs. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think any player out there at this point is expecting any major D2 update to drop in bug-free. Bugs are inevitable in any live service game, especially for any that have lasted as long as Destiny 2. But god damn, if there were ever a point where we really needed to make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, now would probably be that time, as player morale is basically underground. A bunch of weird problems shipped along with Ash.
There are a lot of bugs in live service games, but you would hope that after enough time, you would fix these bugs and we wouldn't get the issue of old bugs re-emerging, that maybe we could get ahead of it to some degree. It just seems really weird when we're like fixing bugs that have happened in previous months and in previous years over and over again. And we know that Bungie has laid off a substantial portion of their QA team, like a lot of them. Like I think there's like one guy left. In fact, I want to follow up on this. It shows...
I found it. It's just me now. November
Yeah, November 18th,
2024.
2014.
I am the player support team. That's why I love this guy. Now he's not even on that team anymore, no? He got promoted. Senior Technical Community Manager at Bungie. Oh, I don't even think he works on D2 anymore.
That's so funny. Yeah, I did. He did
Yeah,
not
I'm
appreciate
excited.
me doing that. He literally blocked me on Twitter for covering the video of that. I was like, what? You
Dude,
said...
you made the tweet.
He made the tweet. What did I do? All I did... Why did he say... Why did I get
You
blocked?
quoted all your friends getting fired, and then you got mad when the news guy covered all your friends got fired.
Like, what did I do? All right, so yes, this is what I'm referencing, is after the layoff. This is the greatest tweet, the second greatest tweet that a Bungie dev ever made. After the layoffs, there said, Bungie tradition, applauding our peers on their last day. This person quote tweeted that saying, it's just me now, all by themselves. And they were in the QA department for Destiny 2. And they said, or for the player support, right? Then they replied to that saying, I am the player support team. He was the one and the only QA at Bungie for a period of time. Oh, man. All right, let's get back into it.
Ash and Iron. And yeah, no launch is going to be completely bug-free, but the best case scenario is that the problems are, at worst, really only the ones that make the community giggle. A great example of this would be the exotic hand cannon Sturm, which, if you didn't know, got a very weird glitch. Basically, you use Drang to get kills and overcharge your Sturm, and then take out your Sturm. And as long as you're holding out your Sturm and holding onto the overcharged shots instead of just shooting them away, then all of your outgoing ability damage gets buffed by a wild amount. And yeah, that does include supers. PvE-wise, this was nothing short of hilarious, and many players were giggling and even having fun using this glitch to absolutely nuke bosses. Again, these types of glitches are best case scenario for PvE players looking to have a little extra fun. Just silly haha damage number get huge, let's go commit dungeon and raid crimes together. But then there are the bad bugs. The kind of bugs where I'm really not sure why these didn't get eradicated before the content launched, because it was actively harmful to the the Ashen Iron player experience. For example, during the new Reclaim
To be fair, with the Sturm bug, they did disable it, at least in trials, so that way it didn't plague PvP in that regard. In PvE, honestly, when bugs happen in PvE, I'm okay with them sticking around for a little while because it can be fun. It'd be fun to use something different and create a different playstyle, allow you to melt some bosses, which maybe helps alleviate the power grind, right? The sword glitch is out right now. I'm not minding that. I'm not minding killing bosses so much faster with the empty hilt, so that way I can get my power levels up. It's not a big deal, I think. Let it ride out, especially when people are already in-game grinding a soulless power grind.
Activity, which is basically just kind of overthrow in the Plague Lands, there was a glitch where you would use your ship to kind of fast travel from one area to the next area. Activating that fast travel could straight up get you killed. Now, normally, not that bad, just go ahead and respawn, right? Well, remember that once you hit a certain difficulty level when playing Reclaim, which you kind of have to play on at a certain point in order to get higher power drops, you get limited revives in this activity. So if and when the glitch happened, you could get flat out soft locked and have to completely restart the activity, which is very annoying. You had PvP matches in comp getting bugged so that they were ending after one team would just get 7 kills. You had a completely screwed up in-game timer in Presage, which wouldn't even let you finish the activity. And if you tried to power grind in the Whisper activity, you learned that blights were bugged and doing omega lethal damage if you stepped inside of them. There were also bugs about the newly updated power grind not working as advertised, and that one really hurt because going into Ashen Iron, the power grind was a huge pain point from the community. And to Bungie's credit, they have been working on LUPs, aka live updates, to fix these bugs. But the problem is that a lot of players don't keep up with checking the Twit each week or checking the Bungie dev articles, and a lot of this info spreads by community word of mouth, if at all. So if a player hears on Tuesday that the new activity is kinda meh, it's glitched and can potentially soft lock your fire team, also the power grind is still borked and the drops aren't working properly, once casual players learn all of that, they're probably just gonna go tap out and play Borderlands, even if all the stuff is slowly getting fixed. I get that no launch will ever be glitch free, but these are some major ones that are immediately gonna push players away, and man, you gotta lock that shit down before release. Oh,
And to be fair, Bungie did recently make a post that was hiring for QA. So it seems like they have gotten the wake-up call where if they continue to launch things with so much bugs in a way in which drives the Destiny community away, that it's at a point where it's a detriment to themselves. It's more monetarily beneficial for them to hire QA, test these things, and launch these things without as many bugs. Small bugs are fine. I mean, a little visual glitch on your armor, sure. Things like that are going to happen from time to time. But ones that literally lock you out of the core mechanic of the game, like the portal, this is bad. This is really bad.
all right, topic number 2, the Eververse. Destiny 2 players in the Eververse are natural enemies, like Destiny 2 players and Warframe players, or
We don't have to be, though. We don't have to be natural enemies with Eververse. I know that this is the common sentiment, but a lot of other games, people don't hate the microtransactions because the games are actually free to play and the developers listen to the feedback regularly, so they don't mind giving money to the company because they support them with the microtransactions in good faith. You know, we have a very twisted version of microtransactions in Destiny 2, and unfortunately has created us as enemies. We are enemies against the Eververse.
Destiny 2 players and First Descendant players, or Destiny 2 players and other Destiny 2 players.
Damn Scots! They ruined Scotland!
Nah, but for real though, aside from the usual situation of there are many cool new armor outfits that are completely locked behind the Eververse, there was a new strange situation that went down. One armor set in particular, called Gladius, which IMO looks insanely good, is only achievable by being purchased with silver via the Eververse. But players have found old pictures of the original design for this armor, revealing it seemingly was intended to be earnable via playing Iron Banner. As you can see, very clear Iron Banner designs right on the armor itself, which now are no longer there. Meaning what likely happened is that somebody probably high up on the totem pole at Bungie looked at this awesome looking armor and said, oh, what, is that going to be earnable via Iron Banner? No, we're not doing that. Scrap that. Move that to the Eververse right now. And honestly, that just kind of sucks. Adding insult to injury after all this time of Iron Banner being away, with Ashen Iron marking its long-awaited return or whatever, we're only getting one new Iron Banner weapon, which is actually just an old weapon that I never liked with a refreshed perk pool, and
it has bugged base stats. We just talked about this earlier today. I was going off on this. This might actually be the worst thing of everything. So Bugs are one thing. Bugs will happen. Obviously, Bungie's not intentionally trying to put bugs into the game. They're trying to launch the game bug-free, but it happens. In the process of all the coding and everything that goes on, you launch an update, things get bugged. I can understand that to a certain degree, right? But this is an intentional re-release of Iron Banner, and the decisions that were made behind this are astounding.
One set of armor, which we were told was going to be, quote, an incredibly cool new set of armor. But yeah, that armor set, it's old, man. The new Iron Banner armor is just slightly touched up old Iron Banner armor that we were already given years ago, which leads me naturally to ask, what the fuck? Were we getting cool new Iron Banner armor that got shoved into the Eververse and was replaced with old armor? Can't really confirm, but it sure as hell seems like it. Also, the Destiny community has been asking for a full set of Taken armor for literally years, and now we finally get one, again, in the Eververse as a silver exclusive. In short, not good. I know the game's got to make money to keep going, but at a certain point, you're just pissing off players when you're putting the most requested, most awesome stuff earnable into the Eververse. Also, when Ashen Iron...
Yeah, it's about the order of events, too. They announced that there would be a new Iron Banner armor set, and then we got, instead, a reprised one. If they had just said reprised from the start, from the get-go, then people would be less upset. Like, we would understand, you know, that, okay, well, we're getting a reprised set to fit in with the post-Edge of Fate new armor systems, right? Now we've got the tiered armor sets and all the different new stat distributions. That's fine. It's not a big deal. And that should have come in tandem with some actual new Iron Banner weapons, because we literally only have one Iron Banner weapon that is brought up to the new tiered system, and that's the Finite Impactor, which also has bugged stats. It has like stats, a stat package from like many years ago, so its base stats are just really, really low. It's basically a terrible, unusable hand cannon by every measure. And so even though it is brought up to the new tiered system, it still has those old stats, which is super frustrating and super lame. And it's the only Iron Banner weapon. None of the other weapons are actual Iron Banner weapons. So you took Iron Banner away for several months, 4 months now, just to bring it back with not even reprised weapons. That's pretty rough.
Dropped, there were reports that Eververse prices were suddenly higher than normal, which has been chalked up to being a glitch. Again, that is horrible timing, because even if this is a glitch, which, dear God, I'm really hoping it was, some players are going to assume, no matter what, that this was some higher up at Bungie trying to sneakily increase Eververse prices and hoping that the community would not notice. All right, topic number 3, the new content. I'm gonna say that the new content we've gotten so far into Ashen Iron, respectfully, ain't it for me. Reclaim is the new activity we're able to play, which again is just kind of overthrow, and out of all the stuff eventually coming out in Ashen Iron, Reclaim is really the only one we have access to right now. We've got an exotic mission, not in the game yet. We have the epic raid, not in the game yet, and it was the first ever raid to get delayed, which did understandably not go over well because a lot of players had already taken time off from work to make sure they could play in the raid. We've got Festival of the Lost, not in the game yet, and has an insanely awesome armor set, which is likely going to be earnable only via the Eververse. And we have dungeon layers, which I'll talk about a little bit more in our final section regarding the portal, and that is kind of it. And I know there's definitely a Bungie vision of stretching out content so players don't blow through all of it in one day and then complain that we don't have anything to do for the rest of the season. Kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't type situation, but yeah. Also, ever since the Edge of Fate campaign, which I actually really liked, by the way, we've only gotten in-game story updates in the form of NPC conversations at the end of activities, which most players actually miss because they're busy immediately re-queuing or going to orbit, or via collecting in-game data pads, which I'm sure is a much more cost-effective form of story delivery, but it does feel less engaging and way less special in my opinion. Also, ×2, random question. Why is this section where we're getting unique rewards from playing Reclaim only available for 1 week? I get that they're probably trying to light a fire under players' asses to get them to play the activity, along with a little dusting of FOMO on top. But really though, when these unique rewards are gone, and by the time my video is up they probably will be, why would players go play Reclaim when there are faster, equally rewarding activities in the portal like Starcrossed? You now have a brand new activity in the portal that likely nobody is going to touch until the end of the season because other activities in the portal are more rewarding. Which brings us to the portal and the power grind. I've been debating with the idea of eventually making a video where I talk about just the portal and all the problems I have have with it, but for right now, why don't we just focus on stuff that got added to the portal in Ashen Iron. We got 3 reclaim locations, Conductor's Keep, Cabal's Watch, and Fallen Bunker, 3 expeditions, aka the escort missions from Season of Plunder, which I don't think anyone was really hoping to ever see again because they are incredibly slow, 2 battlegrounds, Behemoth and Core, Contest of Elders, and 3 strikes, Fallen Saber, Hypernet Current, and Insight Terminus. I swear to God, I'm genuinely not trying to be a goddamn Debbie Downer over here, but I'm not really excited about any of these activities that were added to the portal. The reclaim
Same.
activity is actually new content, so thumbs up there. But Battlegrounds, Expedition, Strike, and Contest of Elders are all just old content getting put into the portal. Same thing with dungeon layers, by the way, which are just kind of small portions of actual dungeons that you can run. Unfortunately, the loot that you get from doing a dungeon layer is basically the same as you'd get with running any other portal activity, many of which are noticeably shorter than a dungeon layer. And yeah, you can get dungeon loot, but it's old dungeon loot, meaning it isn't tiered and doesn't get the seasonal gear bonus, so I can't really imagine a lot of players caring. When I look at or engage with the portal in any way, it is only ever for one of 2 reasons. Reason 1, I am interested in whatever the bonus focus weapon is that day, and I would
We're talking about Mint Retrograde.
like to farm that weapon specifically. Reason 2, I am trying to power grind, and in that scenario, 99% of what's in the portal does not matter to me at all. I and countless other players are going to straight up just go for whatever activity is going to respect my grind time the most. Whatever is the easiest, shortest, and most rewarding activity, that is what players are going to go for the power grind every single time. And the more I think about it lately, the more I really miss how Destiny felt before the addition of the portal being tied to the power grind. I think the concept of the portal in terms of organizing playable activities in D2, so newer players have an easier time browsing through a catalog of stuff they're able to play, is a good idea. It's like taking a box of random kitchen utensils that are all scattered and organizing it all into a silverware drawer. Makes things easier for newer players to find. But the way the portal is directly tied to the power grind really has hurt a lot of the spirit of the game, in my opinion. In the old system of D2, when weekly reset rolled around, it was kind of exciting. We had a big list of activities that, when completed, gave you drops that improved your power. Simple, easy to understand, and pushed players to do a wide range of activities every week. Oh sure, we complained about some of them, but it did encourage variety, and it gave you a reason to ping your buddies and be like, yo, weekly reset, hop on and let's do the raid, let's do a dungeon. Now we have to worry about annoying gameplay modifiers, score modifiers, what final score am I going to get, and what power gear is that going to give me based on what activity I'm playing. And it seems that with every new TWID, there's a whole new list of changes being made to the power system that we may or may not have to commit to memory just for them to be changed again 1 week later. And don't get me wrong, I like that they're actively trying to make the power grind better, but it's just insanely confusing and frustrating right now, to the point where I think the average player has probably mentally tapped out because it's too much to keep in your head.
That's where I'm at. Even not as a content creator that plays more than the average player, I've definitely tapped out to a lot of this stuff because I'm like, okay, if I play this activity and if I get a B+ rating, I'm going to get this drop, I'm going to get that drop. It's like, I feel like you just have to pay attention and take notes on so much, to the point where you kind of just throw your hands up. You're like, I guess I'll play a little bit. You play a little bit, the fatigue sets in, and you log off.
And yeah, the new system allows for unlimited power grinding, whereas the old system was limited to a certain number of drops per week. But the monkey's paw is that the old system was way more straightforward and way less frustrating to the average player. And that's kind of where I'm at mentally right now with Ashen Iron. I'm glad it's a free update, but overall, it just feels like it could have gone.
And I feel like in regards to the portals, like you mentioned, what Bungie was looking for was to add depth to the game, but in the process of adding depth, you add a lot more complexity, so it's more difficult to digest and understand what's happening. So they wanted to kind of take a two-pronged approach, where they added a lot more depth by adding all these modifiers to existing activities, meaning that every time you play through an activity, it's going to look and feel different than every other time, because you could change the modifiers, right? And a lot of times people are just using the same modifiers and running the same activity over and over again. So it doesn't really work. Obviously, they'll have to push you around a little bit more and make you play a little bit more of a variety. I'm sure that will come up pretty soon here. But then the goal had to be to not make it so convoluted that a new player would look at all of this and be like, what? And just immediately log off. So that's why I think they designed the portal, because the first thing you see is the portal. and it looks very streamlined, and you're like, okay, let's click the button and let's click launch, right? If you're a new player. And then if you're a more advanced player that understands these systems and understands leveling and understands the grind and weapons and god rolls, you're going to pick and choose to do the exact activity you want with the exact modifiers that optimize it in the way that helps you grind efficiently. So it's like, at its core, the portal actually is a smart adaptation or evolution of what Destiny was. And I know a lot of people will give me flack for that or say that the portal's terrible, just revert it back to things they were. We're not reverting back, so we should give Bungie feedback of how to move forward with these steps, because going back to the system of old is just not happening. And I think that the way we move forward is by including more of the content that is not in the portal right now at a much more aggressive and rapid pace. We need to get everything in the portal quickly, and we need to make the modifiers way more engaging and interesting, and we need to push people around a little bit more to make them play different stuff, not just sitting in one particular solo op or one particular pinnacle op and farming that all day long. We should be incentivizing people to play a variety, giving them more bonus drops if you play a variety of different activities, things of that nature, and make the modifiers just a lot more fun. You know, I really like the modifier grappler. I think that adds a lot of fun to the movement and the fluidity of doing an activity. I don't always put it on because I need to get a certain rating when I'm leveling up, but I like it. I think the idea of grappler is really cool. We should have more stuff like that. We should have more wild, crazy, eccentric modifiers added to the portal, so that way every time you do it, it is different from the last time. In fact, how cool would it be? This is an idea. I haven't even thought this through, so it could be a terrible idea. But imagine if you could do like a randomized one. Like imagine you click the portal and you click randomize and you don't get to pick the modifiers, but it launches you in. But maybe it takes into account your loadout to some degree, so that way you're not like, you can't stun the champions or something, right? It may not work perfectly, but imagine it completely randomized it for you and guaranteed give you an A+ rating or something. You know, there could be options for things, right? We need more variety. We need more options. There's potential within the portal is what I'm saying. There's potential. It just needs to be developed significantly further and have a much more aggressive approach.
Over a lot better, and I understand why the player base is underwhelmed. We've got a convoluted power leveling system that players are just going to optimize, because why spend more time grinding than you have to? Cool stuff that should be earnable in-game being deliberately moved behind the Eververse, very buggy launches which make gameplay frustrating, and new content being added to the portal, which is really just old content that no one's going to play anyway, because playing those activities for power gains isn't as efficient as other shorter activities in the portal. Really hoping that things get pulled together in December, because like I mentioned earlier, I genuinely think Renegades looks insane, but I'm really hoping that Renegades won't get immediately overshadowed by other problems plaguing the game, like which is kind of going on right now in Ashen Iron. One can hope. Anyway, if you have thoughts about the launch of Ashen Iron, let me know what they are down in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on stream.
All right, so there it is. That was Destiny 2 Ashen Iron is a Mess from Fallout Plays, and I think he had a lot of really strong, really valid points and criticisms of Ashen Iron. And I like the way that he keeps it constructive, because, you know, I think that a good amount of people out there, we can get a little bit too into kind of a rant and things like that. When we actually give good feedback to Bungie on like, these are the biggest pain points, these are the things to fix, I think that we help push that momentum where it needs to go, which is what Bungie is trying to do right now. They're trying to build momentum, and obviously they're building momentum in the wrong direction. We almost need to help guide them and let them know what direction. And we obviously are with the backlash. We're letting them know, hey, like this Iron Banner thing was not cool, and we need to keep voicing our opinions as long as we can, you know, before the fatigue sets in and people eventually just have complete apathy for the game. You know, right now there's a really hardcore group of people that really love Destiny 2 and really want to see it do well. And we voice our opinions so strong and so loud because we just like, what are we doing? Like, how are we fumbling so bad, especially with like the Iron Banner set? Like, how do we pull this off? You know, like this is ridiculous. So we say these things not to be mean to Bungie or not to bully them necessarily, but just because we want to see the game actually thrive in the way that it should, you know?